Well, Michelle, as we go into the new year, we decided a while back that there was something we wanted to do because we have not had some really new guests, a lot of new guests on for a while. And we decided, it's a new year. We want some new guests. And when we discussed this, there was a couple of people that went right up to the top of the list of our wish list that we could have join us, right?
Absolutely. A list that we've actually had for a long time and just haven't pulled the cord yet. So,
well, that's ending today because there have been some near misses, including a near miss out of the Disney parks not that long ago. But we're so excited today to bring along some people that we've been connecting with on social media for a while. They've even chimed in on some of our anniversary episodes, but finally here on the Hyperion Adventures podcast, the team from Disney Assembled, Troy, Mimi, welcome to the Hyperion Adventures podcast. Finally.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming, and we're so very happy and thrilled to be here. Thank you for asking us to be on.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we're thrilled that you're going to be on. We appreciate the time you're taking out of your busy schedules. And, Mimi, we know you're home for the holidays. So this is a real bonus for us that you're sharing some of that holiday time with us. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. No, of course. This is like one of my favorite things. And I love being able to do it in person and not over StreamYard. So
there you
we're good. We're happy.
Absolutely. Good times.
Well, we're so glad to finally have you on the show. Again, we've been wanting to do this for a while. I'm glad. We know your schedules are tight. Glad we were able to work something out, and especially with Mimi, like Michelle was mentioning, back home from college for the holidays, and that we could even work around a holiday schedule, even that much more tricky. So thank you again for taking the time. So we want to get right into it and kind of, it is Disney Assembled. That means there's got to be some Marvel in there. That means there's got to be some superhero. That means there's got to be some origin story that we have to hear about. And our listeners definitely want to hear about. Mm-hmm. Tell us, both of you, where did your love of Disney begin? And how did you eventually kind of decide to make that into a podcast that's grown and done wonderfully?
Well, thank you. I don't know. For me, it was growing up. I mean, like a lot of people, I just turned 53 a couple weeks ago. So I grew up in the 70s, right? And so our home on Sunday night, after working outside all day, it would not be unusual for my family while we were cooking to put The Wonderful World of Disney on, right? And so we watched that every week when I was younger, me and my siblings and my parents. And so I think it really started there. And I think I went to Disney World maybe once around 8th grade, 7th grade. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of how it started for me. I'm not sure how it started for you, but I know that's how my love for Disney started.
I mean, I think for me, kids growing up in the 2000s, there was a lot more Disney content available on the ready than there was for you. I mean, for you it was a whole ordeal to get a movie. You had to go get the reel and set it up and get it spinning and everything. Versus for me, we just had the VHS tape or I mean, I was in between.
We have a closet of
DVDs. Yeah.
that prove that you were in front of a screen.
Yes.
More than probably you should have been.
Yes, I was a screen baby. Yep, that's for sure. No, I definitely wasn't. We were a Disney family, and there was a lot of Disney Junior, Disney movies, princesses, Mickey Mouse. I don't know. I was a PBS kid as well. We also watched a lot of PBS, but I was not a Nickelodeon kid. We weren't really Universal family. We weren't Harry Potter. We were Mickey Mouse. I mean, it was just my upbringing, and so
fun story about how we discovered Mimi's love for Disney as a family. So at the time when she was really young, I'd say from 2 years old, 3 years old, about 3 years old.
Me I'm supposed to know this.
Well, because I'm looking at you, just reminding me of how long ago it was. But we were living in Virginia actually at the time. We don't live in Virginia anymore. We were living in Virginia at the time. We had a home that had a basement, and the basement was finished. We had a finished basement. And so we had.
I was so scared of it.
My wife and I had set up a it was mostly for kids, right? We had all the toys and stuff
We
downstairs,
had
and we
a
had
playpen. No,
little-
we had like a bouncy castle.
like a bounce house down there,
Wow.
right?
Sweet.
A small bounce.
Yeah.
But there was a television that we set up in there, and I don't know why we had a TV down there, but we did, and we would hear Mimi singing this song all the time. We couldn't understand what it was. And it was something about a train, and then she was singing about this train.
Oh,
You would
yeah.
hear her singing about this train all the time. And we figured out that it was Choo Choo Soul from
Oh.
Disney Junior
Wow.
with
Wow.
Genevieve Goings,
Sure.
who I see Irene and we would like connect to her on Facebook, and then she looks exactly the same. But I was like, this is the person that you were singing the Choo Choo Soul. So I think Mimi's Disney thing goes way back to parental neglect, right? So they're replacing her parents with someone who was supposedly virtually paying attention to her at the time.
Like
So-
nobody come for us, but I did get put in the basement for quiet time for an hour every day.
So
While-
the basement.
while my brother was a baby. So
Yeah.
like it was while my brother was napping, because I stopped napping like super
You know,
young.
when you look back on it, those days in the basement, see that
Mom was
finished
like,
basement,
Hi, I love you.
and that basement was it was soundproof. It had like soundproofing on the wall. I mean, we couldn't hear anything upstairs. We just trusted that the world would be okay.
And I was fine. I was a really independent baby, except for that one time there was an earthquake and my mom didn't know like whether to go up and get my baby brother or to go down and get me. She ended up going up to get my baby brother, and she was like,
Right.
"Well, hope she's okay." And there I was. I popped out. I came back around the side yard because I had gone out the back door.
Well,
Because
yeah.
all of those houses in Virginia that have the basements have doors because they're like not actually underground. It
Right.
just opens
Right.
to the backyard, and
Right.
like there you are.
Well, that's our Disney story.
Yeah.
Mine was very nuclear family, and Disney's Wonderful World Disney, and Mimi's was parental neglect and Choo
No,
Choo Soul.
not parental neglect. It was more just like osmosis, like general childhood
No.
It
situation.
was some type of enrichment. Come on.
Yeah, like I mean,
Listen, she learned how to change channels and work the volume,
Right?
and so she learned valuable
and like
lessons.
Disney books too, like a lot of Minnie Mouse books and whatnot. Yes, no more neglect.
No, we're paying for it now, big time. All right.
I'm just impressed. Like we lived in California, and so in California, not a lot of basements going on there. So if I wanted to, like, let's just say have a little quiet time around the house with my son, I had to play the actual quiet game. Let's see how long you can stay quiet. That was the best I could hope for. I couldn't actually, escort him down for some Disney movies into the basement for an hour or
It
so.
was my brother would nap and my mom would say, "All right, I'm gonna watch Law and Order SVU. Go downstairs." And I would go downstairs and I set up this little fort, like this little wall that I would like sit in because I was scared of the evil queen from Snow White, but like only the old one. I was like really scared of her. I was scared she was gonna come out of our tool shed and kill me. And so I sat in this little wall made up of like baskets and boxes, and I watched a lot of Disney content just for that hour. And then Mary Poppins.
We
That was
also-
on loop in my household.
Well, we also knew, depending on what she wanted to watch, how much time we had. So we were always fingers crossed for Mary Poppins or something that was over 2 hours. But if she said, "I'm going to watch Sword in the Stone," it's like, oh, it's like 65 minutes. It's like we're always pushing the longer one. What Fantasia today? Wouldn't you like
I
Fantasia?
hated
Right.
Fantasia as a kid. I hated it. I still do hate it. It's terrifying. The brooms. Okay, my house was a house of love, not a house of neglect. Don't worry, guys.
Right.
Yeah, I was loved.
For entertainment value only.
I was
Right.
singing.
Of course. Of course. And you
art-
learned storytelling and
No, I mean, like,
art and
yeah. No, I mean, literally, like, I would not be who I am today without it. Like,
So that's how our love for Disney
Anyway.
came.
yeah.
Disney Assembled sort of emerged out of that years later, right? So the story behind the podcast,
Well, I think the story behind the podcast goes deeper than just
Right.
COVID. I think it goes
okay,
back
it's
to
much deeper than
2017.
COVID. Right. So on my end, one of the things I knew, so Mimi was coming out of a stage of her life where she was, at one point, she was a competitive soccer player, and we did a lot of soccer tournaments. And I was not a soccer fan until she started playing, and then I learned a lot about it, and we got into it. It was something we did together. As a matter of fact, there were a couple years where she and I had season tickets to the professional women's soccer team here in Houston, and we would
Yeah.
go to season tickets, and we
Houston Dash
went to
every
every game.
Saturday.
That was our thing, right? Growing as she was
Yeah.
younger.
Saturday morning, we would get up and we would go to the Irish pub, and we would watch the Arsenal play in the morning, and then we would go watch the Dash play in the evening.
Coffee at the pub.
Yes,
and
black
breakfast.
coffee, because God forbid the Irish pub have cream and sugar. So I was
Right.
drinking black coffee at like
Right.
12.
Right. So again, more parental neglect, but we would go to the soccer match. But at around eighth grade, Mimi was transitioning out of being a soccer player. She had decided that really wasn't what she wanted to do in high school for the most part. And then COVID came through. And so one of the things that I was really concerned about as a parent was how, at this stage of her life, going into high school, how do I stay relevant? How do I find something that we have in common? Because soccer was sort of fading, and then COVID was coming through, and we were like,
And then high school, right?
high school and changing and growing up.
15.
Right. And so we still had, when we enjoyed watching Disney on TV. I mean, we were watching Disney movies and Disney Plus and all that stuff.
At the time, it was really Marvel. That was really the main,
And so
the main point.
it was something I wanted to try to do with her and say, well, why don't we carve out time every week to just sit down and talk about Disney, whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, Disney, something going on, and let's stay connected in some way. And so we did that for a while, and then we just had the harebrained idea to, well, why don't we record this conversation, and maybe another father daughter, maybe some guy's going to work and he has his child in the car and wants to find something to connect with her about, and so the idea was, we're having this what we thought was a great conversation, and if it helped anyone else strengthen their relationship with either their child or a parent or a relative or just anyone, that maybe we should put this out there and see what happens. And that's really how the Disney Assembled podcast started, was mostly around just recording what we wanted to talk about. And then, if one or two people loved it and enjoyed the time, then great.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I think it even goes back further than just like eighth grade. Between 2016 and between 2016 and 2020, like we, as a family, a lot had happened to us, and then me being like those awesome ages of 12 to 14, there was a lot going on with me, like within, the bubble of what was also going on in the family. And in 2017, we were gifted a trip to go to Disneyland for Thanksgiving. And like the way that I remember truly all of this starting, and like we didn't know it then, but looking back, I can see how the ball started moving here. When we found out we were going, like we had nothing else. Like the family was in such a like unsteady time at the moment. Like I remember, I have this such vivid memory of like one Saturday, you and I sat down before our trip and we watched a bunch of like ride POVs of everything that was at Disneyland, everything we were interested in. Like we'd had downloaded the apps, we had the list, and we were like, oh, like what goes on this ride? Like let's go click on it. And we like sat down on YouTube and we watched ride POV after ride POV after ride POV, because we didn't know what to expect. Like I hadn't been since I was like 6, so I certainly didn't remember. And neither of us had ever been to California. And we were just, like Cars Land, like what does that look like? Like show us, like POV, like walk through, whatever. And then that to me is truly where that started, because like we just sat down, we watched all of them, and then occasionally we would watch like TPM vids together. Love that YouTube channel. And like we did that like more consistently than I think you realize. But
Yeah, that's probably true.
2020,
yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
and then in 2020 we started listening to Unlocking the Magic on our rides to school, and then it just kind of like kept building and building and building. And as I got older, like I was like, oh, like remember the park? Like that was kind of cool. And like we talked about the park and like what we missed, what we liked, and what we would do differently. And then from that, I think came this Disney time every week, with the COVID being home all the time. And then from that came the show. And the show
and I think
not about, like, it's about Disney. It really is, but it's also like about us. Like that's really what I think it is. And now I like it for so many reasons. Like, but one of them is that I now have this record of me growing up from being like a really insecure, really rocky, really like annoying like little kid. Like I mean, I was like 14 when the show started, and now I'm about to turn 20, and we're still doing this. And I have this record of like me and my dad, and we've done this for so long, and it's really more emotional than anything else.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah, I'd forgotten a lot of that backstory, but yeah,
that's how I remember
Mimi's
all of
right. We
that.
were going through a lot. So our house had flooded here in Houston, and we had had to
Mm.
move a couple of times, and I was between jobs, and so yeah, there was a lot going on around that 2017 trip to Disneyland, and yeah, I would agree with you that
And
that
there's
sort of
probably some
planted the seed.
psychology around like our brains being like looking for a positive outlook and then being tied to
Right.
like like one of the only positive memories from that entire year was that trip. I mean, like, gotta be frank. And
I thought you were going to be Mimi.
well, like, to be honest, like, it's just,
Dad
I
joke.
mean, there's got to be some psychology there of like the only good thing that happened to us that year was that Disney trip. And we've all just kind of, as a
Well, and not long after that, like
we've
Mimi
clung
said,
to it.
I would say, speaking of the positivity, we found Hyperion Adventures podcasts because we started listening to podcasts and we were looking for Disney podcasts to listen to. And I will say, if we went back through the archives, I mean, your show was probably either the second or the third Disney podcast we ever
Yeah,
found.
I would
And so
Sorry
we've
about
been
that.
listening. No, it's all good. And we were like, oh, well,
Well, we
can't
can
be
do
the
better than
we can't be
them.
the podcast of positivity. That's already been taken, right? So
It's a different shtick. We need a different angle.
Right. Can't do that. But yeah, it's been good listening to you guys
We've learned a lot
and
from the people in this
yeah,
community.
and
And it's
just
really,
Mhm.
it's really interesting. Like I didn't, when we started doing this, I was like, that's so niche. Like, who else would do this?
yeah.
Like, no,
Many
people,
many people
many
are doing
people would do
this.
this,
Many,
actually.
many.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just really cool to like have that. And so, yeah,
Yep.
that's the story.
So funny. When I started, I didn't want to listen to, when we first started, I'm like, I don't want to listen to any of the Disney podcasts because I don't want to copy what they're doing. But gradually, that didn't take long for me to shift my point of view, and I'm so happy I did because yes, I've learned some things, and I've met so many wonderful people from this community, including you two, and it's been the special gift that we didn't expect going in, right, Michelle?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just been such a rich experience. And again, never expecting any of that to happen. But I have to go back to your story because I'm just blown away by it, especially Mimi, your awareness of this is kind of like a historical record that you now have of how you transitioned in your life. And I think that's, you know, you are a young person and to have that perspective already is pretty impressive um and and it comes out really very organic in your show too, and I think that similarly you have that positivity and you bring the joy, and yes, you're talking about the joy that you all are having as a family, but it really comes through and it brightens everybody's who are listening to it.
Thank you. That's very sweet. I
I
really
think-
like having my record because like you can go back and like there's like things that only I know about my life that I did not share with the podcast. Like the first time I was ever broken up with, the episode right after that was like 15 minutes long. I was like, Papa, we're not doing this. You have maybe 10 minutes. Like no, there's nothing going on there. Like nothing in my brain. Like it's really interesting like to see me like for my senior show, um in my senior year of high school because I went to art school. I don't know. I guess your listeners wouldn't know that because they're your listeners, not our listeners.
Well, maybe there's some crossover.
Yeah, there might be
I
a
went
lot
to
of crossover.
performing arts high school and I was in the creative writing department. And when you graduate from a performing arts school, you get a senior show. I mean, that's how it is in performing arts programs in college as well. But, high school, right? So everybody did it. And for my show, I wanted to do like a highlight reel of my favorite Disney Assembled moments. And I went back and I pulled like audio from the first episode. I don't know who that is. Like listening to her, she doesn't sound like me like at all. But I know that that's me. And I think like doing that was like really cool. And I don't know. I really like being able to do that. And I won't listen to our own show, admittedly. Like I can't listen to my own voice, but I know she's there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like,
Right.
and when I was thinking about putting together my highlight reel, I was like, oh, like I want the Geppetto the Butcher clip. And I knew where to find it. And I went back and I found it. And like, I don't know. It's a really cool, special thing.
Yeah.
It's not photos, it's not videos, it's not home movies. Like it's
Right.
audio.
Out of the butcher's head. legs. That comment has legs. It's lasted a while.
Yeah, he's been around. That's an old one, that's for sure.
Essentially, we were doing a costume, a Disney
You're like
character meet.
characters that need to be different. Like
Yeah, I was
new
like,
character design, please.
I
Like
said, Geppetto's one ketchup stain away from looking like a butcher out there with the apron on,
'cause he's like creepy looking.
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I would say this, and we vacillate back and forth between wanting to do more with Disney Assembled because we see a lot of potential to create more joy for people with doing other things. Our schedule constraints get in the way of a lot of that. But one thing we've stayed true to is, you know, if it ever starts to feel like a job or a chore, we really need to take a pause and step back because this was never intended to add additional stress to our life. This was actually intended to be a hobby and something fun that we look forward to. And so recently, being in college now, we've had to record remotely more. And it's been hard. And there are weeks where she's stressed out with exams and schoolwork. And we've sort of taken a pause and said, well, look, even though we try to get a show out every week, this one may be delayed a couple of days, or this one maybe just have to do 2 next week for people to have. So I think we've been really good at sticking true to the spirit of what we were trying to do, even though the maturity of the conversation has evolved. And of course, Mimi's had the additional added benefit, unintended benefit of being able to use the show. I mean, she wrote about it for her college essay. It helped her get into the school that she's in. And, we've met, people like yourselves, over these calls. We've met people in person that we never would have met. And I think it's been really helpful for her as she's sort of looking ahead to some of the goals that she has going forward.
Oh no, yeah. It's like completely, like I said this right before we started recording, but it has fundamentally changed me as an individual. Like probably because we started doing it like when I was in that terrible, terrible age of 14 and like my brain was literally changing like as we were doing it. But like it's just helped me, like it's guided me in the right direction so many times. Like I mean, like Papa said, I wrote my college essay about it, the main one. And so it went to every school I applied to. And like when I walked into UT and I went to like introduce myself to the woman who was like running our intro class, and she is also on the admissions board. I like introduced myself. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was like, "Hi, I'm Irene," like whatever. And she was like, "Oh, you're the podcast girl." And I was like, "Oh." Yes. I suppose I suppose so. Yeah. But like aside from like all of that and just being able to like talk about it and emotionally like having a relationship with you, like my career path has changed because of this. Like I've learned that I really like this company and like what they stand for and what they're creating, and I love the projects they're working on, but because we are interested in it, we've been able like I mean, being a Disney adult, like you learn so much more about the company than the average person would know. Like, I mean, even like park knowledge, like seriously, like I know way more than any normal person should know about Disney World. And like, no, like seriously, like I love the parks. I'm obsessed with them. And coming to terms with that and realizing that and so early on, I was able to like sort of figure out like what I want to do with my life. Like I know I want to work at this park and I want to be an Imagineer and I want to do storytelling for them. Like that is what I want to do. And like I would not have come to that realization so quickly. And maybe I'm just a planner, and maybe I'm a stupid 20 something that's like, "Oh my God, my life's going to go like this." And then I go like completely sideways. But like I am a planner. Like I have to know what I'm doing. And like I want to do the Disney College program, and I was able to like write that into my degree plan and like figure everything out. And so like even if I don't probably like even if I end up going sideways, like I have a goal, and like Disney has given me that goal, and I don't think it would have been like I have no idea where I would be if we hadn't done this. Like I have no idea what I would be studying. Like probably creative writing again, which is like crazy because like I don't want to do that. That's not what I want to be doing. Like I want to do this. Like I want to work for this company and I want to do this very specific niche job with this very specific niche thing that I love so much. Or like I want to work in the Disney archives, like something I've realized recently. I love park history. I love it. Like I love the park history. I love Disney history. And history's always been my favorite subject in school. And it's never really occurred to me that I could do both of those things. Um, I want to work in the archives. Like I want someone to be like, yeah, what do you know about pirates? Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you everything. Um, like,
Well, good luck. Good luck with that.
yeah, it has changed me as a person, and hopefully when I interview for my Disney College program, they will feel that.
For sure. 100%. And we can feel it right here, right now. I think everybody who's listening can definitely feel it and know it and see it. For those of you who watch it on YouTube, you can see it in your face
Yeah, love the
100%. that,
passion.
yeah, it's so nice because I was not a person that found my place and what I wanted to do for the longest time. I know there's many people that struggle with that. The fact that you know where you want to go and what you want to do. And part of it was inspired by going into the basement and watching movies, but also doing this podcast, of course, is really impressive. I also want to go back to, you mentioned going back and listening to that first episode. I actually went back and listened to your first episode today because
Why?
I had not heard your first episode before. I wanted to go back and hear kind of the origin story of it all.
Okay.
I know you're going to be as critical as possible about yourself. I was significantly impressed by you knowing you were 14 going into that and
Wow.
how much you were able to. I know you're going to be critical. Everybody is critical of themselves going there. You were extremely impressive as a 14-year-old doing a podcast for the first time. I don't know if we were I was in radio and I don't know if I was that comfortable on our first show when we were doing it. So, no matter what you think, you did great and you've only improved from there. So the sky's the limit for you. Okay.
Thanks.
The sky's the limit.
That's very sweet.
I, on the other
Like,
hand,
we're very-
have not yet hit rock bottom, and so it's. Yeah.
No, I was going to say,
I'm on the other side of the hill. She's got all this, and I'm on the other side of the hill. I'm trying to figure out how to retire in the Disney World, right? And she's trying to get a job there, and so
Yeah, like I'm trying to graduate as early as possible and move to Anaheim.
Uh,
Summer classes, here I come. Like,
Right.
yeah, no, literally. I'm trying
No,
to.
but it is a great I mean, obviously you're a natural pairing because you're father-daughter, but it comes out like I think I used the word already, organic. It comes out really fun. You have really playful topics too, and yet you still draw in a lot of the current news and everything. So your format is really impressive as well.
Thank you. I love our topics because we come up with them 10 minutes before we record our show. We'll be sitting in these exact chairs at this exact table, and I'll be like, "So, what are we talking about this week? What's going on?
Yeah.
What do we know?"
because
Except-
one thing we try to not do
Is
is the
scripted.
news.
And the news, yeah.
Because and again it's just one, it's you got to keep up with it all the time if you're going to do that, and secondly,
And we just don't have the schedule for that, unfortunately.
well,
Like,
right, and you guys do a great job with the news.
Yes.
Our format is condensed because when we want to keep the length of our show like a commute to work length, right? If you listen on like 1.5 speed, you can get there, right? But the news, there's so many news places to get the news from, and I mean we've dabbled with making fun of the news and stuff like that from time to time. That's more of our speed.
you missed the news segment.
But yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out because we do sit down and try to figure out, what are we going to do this week? And so when in doubt, we can draw from, a few episodes we've done in the past that people
Yeah.
seem to have enjoyed and sort of riff on that a little bit. The end of the year is really good for us because we sort of
we do the
we have
same
a
thing every
pattern
year.
Yeah, your series,
at the end of the
yes.
year,
Yeah.
and
And then the birthday
yeah.
episode is also the same every year.
yeah.
But we like every so often we'll have a topic idea that comes in like early. Like we did this episode, like I don't remember, I think it was like a Wednesday or something. And I was like, what we've never talked about? What we would want to be if we were cast members. And Papa was like, that's true. Let's do that. So every so often we have like a topic that comes in not on Sunday. But like it's
Right.
it's fun. Like I like that it's sort of like off the cuff and what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, it's not quite improvised,
Yeah, it's
but
not
it's
kind of
And that's not
spontaneous.
improvised. It's
Yeah.
spontaneous. Yeah, and like I think that I like that it's kind of silly and fun, and
Mhm.
we don't do a whole lot of like historical archive stuff either. Like
Right.
not a whole lot of like here's the
what
world
it's
history.
the
of
hardest
this.
part for me right now. It's getting increasingly difficult to have a Disney dad joke of the week after 250 something Disney dad jokes of the week. And so that becomes problematic because it has to stay family friendly, and I don't want to just rehash the same ones that everybody sees on the internet everywhere. So that's
Like, ebbs and
become a little
flows
bit
with the
more of a
joke.
challenge.
The joke is, it goes like sometimes really easy and sometimes it's a little bit more difficult, depending on like
And that
where
has
we
brought,
are.
and then that's an interesting thing that we sort of just did out on a whim, is the dad
The
joke of the
joke.
week. And we've talked a lot about, and I'll share this publicly. We've talked a lot about taking all those jokes and finding a way to publish them, but not in a joke book, but sort of like a Disney history story that infuses the jokes throughout the story. And that's
Interesting.
it's we're still trying to figure out how we're going to find the time to do that. But it's, we these are the kinds of things we talk about off camera too, and off mic.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, well, what do we do with all this stuff? I mean, it's on our website, but what do we do with
And
it?
we're trying to
right?
figure out like where the balance is between it being like a business and like an actual like thing per se that we do, like an actual like
Well, we talk about the
Group.
business side when we start to have illusions of
something that we just do
right. So
for
we get
each
these
other.
we get these romantic ideas, not in the romantic way, but these
Right.
romantic ideas of being annual pass holders and DVC members. Like, wait, if we were a business, couldn't we write all this off as business expenses? And then the taxes are in. And then of course Mrs. Disney
We have this
assembled
conversation like once
sort
a
of-
week. Like seriously,
sort
we,
of
like
knocks some sense into my, and she's like, "Stop it, we're not doing that, right?" It's so I was like, "Oh, okay, well."
something that we go back and forth on all the time is the DVC.
Yeah,
we talk
boy.
about the DVC all the time. We're like, this would make sense, like, right? Like hotel
Absolutely.
for free. Hotel for free. And my mom is always like,
It's not free. Not free.
"No."
Not free.
Definitely not free. But this is really funny because we were just listening to your episode just from a couple weeks ago when you were talking about the resorts that would like to stay at or whatever. And Michelle ran into me and she's like, they should be DVC. This is what they need to do. They need to join DVC.
I said, if
I have it all the
anybody
time.
fits that mold.
I think the DVC should also cover travel expenses. Like I think Disney should open their own airline and like pay. But like seriously, that's what's killing me. Like I'm planning this trip for this summer, and like I can go like for cheap. Like I can find a cheap Airbnb. We can stay off property, and then the tickets themselves aren't that bad. Like when it's all said and done, like it's not that bad. What kills is the travel to get there.
Yeah.
But that might also just be because I am like in college. But like like plane tickets are so expensive.
Mhm.
And like the drive is fine, like don't get me wrong, but I was talking about my summer trip with my mom, and she was like, "I don't know if your car can go cross country anymore. I
Mhm.
don't know if she can do that. I don't know if she can do that, Mimi. I don't think Mabel would make it." And I was like,
Yeah. They call her car Mabel.
so I was like, "So do you like? So what exactly do you want me to do here?"
Well,
Like I think if Disney seriously invested in like travel and like making money off of people who like would pay them to fly them for free, or like DVC situation where you pay them and then it's free when you go, right? Like I don't know if they would lose money there. But I
sounds
feel
like you
they
want an
could.
Adventures by Disney vacation
Yeah.
where they
Yes.
fly you all over the world and
Right.
get to do whatever on.
Well, if I'm a Disney ambassador, they'll fly me all over the world.
There
man.
he
There you
is.
go.
There it is.
There you
That's
She's
it.
go.
already
Solved.
planned.
Like, what are you doing when I intern in Paris? At Disneyland Paris. Like, what then?
I don't even have a passport, so
No, me neither. I don't have a passport either.
Or as an Imagineer, they're sending you all sorts of research trips all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, no, literally. I cannot work on the engineering side of that though. I am not a STEM girly.
There-
I will not be building. I will be.
it
How do you
doesn't-
feel about the color? What do you feel about the costumes? Do you think your character would do this? Oh, yes, absolutely, I do. I absolutely think my character would do this. That's me.
There are
the world
plenty of
will
jobs in Imagineering that don't necessarily have to have engineering as a significant part of it. We actually were able to lucky to do when they still had this going on, and I wish they did for you especially. We used to be able to sit at Epcot and have lunch within an Imagineer, where they had, it was in the Brown Derby. They did a table of, I don't know, what was it, about 16, 20
Yeah,
people.
about that much.
An Imagineer, and he would talk. And there were a lot of young people in there. They're asking that had that as their goal and would ask him questions. And one of the things he said is like, yeah, that's part of it. But there's all these other aspects about being an Imagineer that doesn't necessarily focus on engineering itself. There's a lot of things. So if it is something that is your goal, at least look into it and
No,
see
yeah.
what
Yeah, I mean, you need the story people. Like without the story people, there's nothing to build. Like if I don't tell you what it needs to look like and what the story is, like I mean, someone had to create the concept for everything that's going on in there, and everything in there is intentional. And I guarantee I know a lot of STEM people, okay? My best friend, she's a math major, okay? She would not know how to create a story at all. She would have no idea about the detail orientation of that. No, I love her. She's so smart, wicked smart. Math major at UT Austin. I love her to death. No, there's no way. There's no way she'd be able to do that. Like
Well, we
need
know
those
they're going to be
people.
looking for a new CEO soon, so
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
apply for that.
Right in
Why,
there.
yeah, let me in.
Why start at the bottom? Start at
Right,
the top.
right.
Like everybody.
Do you think they would pay for my grad school?
For sure.
Stock options. Stock options.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
Like
exactly.
at that point, grad school. Who needs grad school? Yeah.
Literally,
That
CEO.
golden parachute. You don't need grad school when you got that golden parachute as the CEO of Disney. That's for sure.
But it would be fun.
Yeah.
I love school. I'm sorry.
Right.
You've been paying
al-
for school for so long.
Also interesting is that there's been a couple people we've talked to recently, and a couple of them that we're hoping to get on the show somewhat in the near future. And they are within the Disney company. And part of their story is reason why we think they're interesting is because they didn't start like in these high places within the Disney company. They started with, basic jobs, basically working at the parks, and are now in some pretty significant roles. So it is a tale that's been told many, many times, and it can happen. So get in there, get your foot in the door, and you never know where it might lead for sure.
Yeah.
But I think you already know that, Mimi.
Oh yeah. I mean, like so many people, like they hire from within, like pretty generally. Like I've
Mhm.
done so much research on it. Like that's part of why I like this company as like a future employer or just like someone that I want to be a part of because they move people around. Like, I mean, when I graduate from UT, my degree is going to be in public relations and political communication, and I'll probably end up starting like in public relations somewhere, but that doesn't mean I can't move around. And like that's what I've like really come to learn about Imagineers in particular. Like so many Imagineers from like the original park started doing not that. And like so many Imagineers building and developing Disney World and Disneyland Paris like didn't start as Imagineers. They were in like animation or they were in PR or they were in like they were just creative people that knew how to create branding and storytelling and world building and like all of these things that you need
Right.
to develop stuff like that. And
And there's no shortage of work to be done at Disney in that field.
Right.
So
oh yeah, like they hire
Mhm.
people that have values and creativity rather than people that have skills. Now, they definitely are hiring engineers to be engineers,
right.
but
Let's hope so.
all of their creative people are all creative people rather than this is a PR person and this is a journalism person and this is a film person and this is an animation person. Like you move around a lot in that company. Like I've done so much anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
You know your stuff, and that's
Yeah.
good. You know your stuff. That's good.
Impressive.
By the way, Troy, I know you mentioned a little bit ago that, Mrs. Disney Assemble, but sometimes when you get these delusions of grandeur would come in and maybe try and knock some sense into you a little bit. But I understand that there's a little Disney history between your relationship with her as well. So, it's not like she doesn't at least enjoy Disney a little bit.
She does, and I think the key is the balance. Like I think we as a family enjoy exploring lots of different places, and I think her concern is if we end up in this habit of only going to Disney World every year for a vacation, then she gets frustrated with that. And I can see that because some of the best times we've had as a family have nothing to do with Disney and other
Yeah, no,
exploring other
exactly.
parts of the country and traveling and I think for us the key to continuing to go to Disney is to also throw in these other experiences to balance out, the world. And brother Disney Assembled, he enjoyed. Look, he's like every other 16-year-old boy. He will not admit until he gets in the park.
Right.
He's complaining the whole
No,
time.
the thought of it, the
But when he's
travel,
there,
I don't even want to be. I don't
right?
want to
I don't wanna go, I don't
to
wanna-
Disney.
when he's there, he enjoys it.
He's
He's lots of fun. So it's just a matter of balancing these things out so that it's not the
Absolutely.
only thing we
Also,
talk
like
about.
my
too.
mom is like way more into it than she thinks she is. Like, we will be on the last day of our trip, and she's like, "So when are we coming back?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "Girl, whenever." Like, what do you like? We are not complaining. Like,
Right.
take us whenever. Or like, and when
She
you get to
upsells us a lot.
yes. Oh my gosh, she's the one that wants us to get Animal
So
Kingdom Lodge. Like,
So I was like,
it's
why don't
not
we just
us,
stay here
it's
and save some money? She goes, why do we do? Well, no, why would we do? We'd spend go and do this. And if we're going to stay there, and then she'll be the one. She'll say, well, if we're going to stay at the
we
Polynesian,
might as
then
well
we
do
might as well
it.
get a club room
It's like,
because you know they have the
Of
food in the
course.
lounge all
Yeah.
day. I mean, the coffee's free and she goes.
she's
So
like,
it's like
she
she's.
is
I'm not
so
saying anything, and
funny.
she's just going on and on. It's like, okay, well, let's do that.
She
Okay,
is
well, let's do
so
that.
funny because like once you convince her that it's her idea and you find something that like she wants to latch onto, she's like, "Oh yeah, we're going." Like we talked about the Animal Kingdom Lodge and that's what sparked that episode. She was
Mhm.
like, "That would be so fun." And then I opened her computer to like Google something for myself and like she had priced out an Animal Kingdom Lodge trip and I was like, "Oh, okay. So awesome." Like I'm down. Except it was for spring break and their spring break, everyone in this house's spring break is the week before mine. So there will be no Disney trip.
That's okay.
Oh.
We'll save up.
But we're going in May. I think my mom and I are going to go without you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
because we'll be out of
Nice.
school.
Sound like a girls'
Well,
trip. Yeah, I heard
Nice.
girls'
about
trip.
that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, but she's really funny because like when we talk about Disney, she's like, I don't want to go to Disney again. I don't want to go to Disney again. And then you like get her on something that she likes. We're like, oh, but like, what if we did? But like, think about Toy Story Mania. Remember that? And she's like, "Oh, okay, so maybe we should go again." Like,
Good times.
she's so
Good
funny.
memories.
Like, I love
Yeah.
her.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Very cool. All right. So you've been to both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Before we get into our little game that we want to play here with you guys, need to know which one do you prefer? Where do you land on the Disneyland versus Walt Disney World debate?
What do you think?
I think I haven't been to California in like recent amount of time. So like I will say like it's been kind of long for me. I remember it, but like not really. And also so much has changed since 2017. Like
Sure.
Galaxy's Edge is now there
Yes,
and
yeah,
Avengers
you were there
Campus.
before all those
For
new
all of
areas
that,
opened. Yeah.
like yeah, like they weren't I don't even think they were constructing Galaxy's Edge when we were there. Like seriously, like it's so different now. So I can't speak to that, but I love Walt Disney World so much and I know it so well. And I think because we've like been so many times, like and like I now have memories on my own, like independently of my family there, I think I've gotta go Orlando. I know it so well. And like I know where to go, when to do what, like what's the most convenient mode of transportation, how to get anywhere. Like we were in Epcot with my best friends, and I think Epcot is the worst part to navigate. I think its layout is terrible. And my friends were like, "How do we get to Guardians from over here?" And I was like, "Oh, I got you. Let's go." Like it's the
Yeah.
maps are in my brain. The memories are there. I love the Toy Story Land. Sorry, that's like really
Right.
niche. I would not be okay without the Toy Story Land and the
Yeah.
People Mover.
Yeah.
So I'm Orlando.
Yeah, for me, all of my nostalgia is in Disney World because of things that we've done together when she was much younger and experiences we did. And we've talked about some of it on our show. I think it's, people ask this question. It's almost an unfair question because I see those two destinations as very, very different destinations.
It's a very different kind of vacation for
Yeah.
me.
And so, I mean, I would say Disney World because if I'm going to, I can go and plan a longer trip and immerse myself in that bubble for a while is really a treat. But I think I find Disneyland to be more charming. I think the charm of Disneyland would be put it ahead in charm factor, but just in terms of nostalgia. And if I had, you can only go on one trip where you're going to go, I'll probably go to Disney World
Yeah.
just because of the variety and the immersiveness
I think there's a
of
lot
that
to be said about
experience.
the charming thing. Like, I think at times Walt Disney World can definitely feel like a big corporation, like big machine, like a theme park, and that's what it is. Now, it doesn't always feel like that. I will say it is more immersive and loving than it is corporation. But I will say Disneyland does not have
Right.
that
I did.
like corporate
Yeah, I would describe it this
Shaky
way.
feel.
I would say that some people have really cute backyard gardens and they tend to their gardens and they're beautiful and they're small scale and they're very proud of them. And they may even have like a little fairy garden in there or they have like a little bird feeder. And so they have wildlife in their yard and that's fine. And then there are people who buy farms and they have giant farms and they're plowing fields and they're all into it and they're so proud of the farm that they're tending to. And to me, that's what I think. They're so different, but then they're also very much the same. You're getting your hands dirty. You're experiencing nature. You are improving the environment in the two examples. But one is a very small scale and very charming and very personal experience, and the other can become more immersive and all encompassing, but no less important to someone who wants that more immersive experience. So I can do a
That's
backyard
good
garden and
analogy.
have a full-time job. But if I'm going to be a farmer, I'm going to be a farmer 24/7. And to me, I see Disney World sort of the big farm, and Disneyland is I have this really neat, sustainable backyard garden that I also love. That's kind of how I see it.
Pretty
That's
good
that's really
analogy.
well said. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Definitely. Favorite attraction at any of the parks?
Guardians. Guardians in Epcot. Yeah, that's a win. It's so fun.
To
The
me,
same for
the
you, Troy, right? Same. You love you love
No,
Cosmic
no, no,
Rewind.
no. I always
Legitimately so scared for him. Like, mom made me sit next to him because she was like, "You got him into this. You're dealing with this during the ride. If someone's gonna yell over the sound, it'll be you." And I was like, "Okay."
I deal
I was
with
legitimately
my
so scared for him.
I deal with my emotions on thrill rides by saying silly and borderline inappropriate things in a very loud voice.
Not inappropriate, but like on Guardians, he'll be screaming,
Yeah, I was.
"Save the world! We're gonna save the world!" It's
No,
so
it was
funny.
more or less I hate you. I was like, damn you, Peter Quinn. Right? Or like, what was it? Was it? Is that the guy? What the Guardians guy? Yeah, and riding Slinky Dog.
He'll
I'm
be like barking.
I'm
It's
barking on
so funny.
Slinky Dog the whole time or something like
So
that.
funny.
And I was like, you dirty dog, you dirty dog. Right?
So good.
But I would say for me, it has to be the ride that I ride the most. I think because I think you end up being attracted and riding the thing you love the most. And to me, it's the Pirates. I'll ride Pirates. It'll be my last ride of the night. It'll be yeah. I'll just do that over and over again. And so I think that's probably my
Pirates is a
favorite.
good one. I think I'm like super impartial to Tron though. Like I know people really don't like Tron. They think it's too short. I love the soundtrack. So
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
Tomorrowland music just like itches my brain. Like
Mm.
I've said this on the show, like I'll just listen to the ambiance while I study. But like the Tron music in particular, like it's on Apple Music and I will play it on a loop. Like I really like Tron. I'm sorry guys. Like I think it's so much
Nice.
fun.
No,
Nice.
It's just
I've-
too
I-
short to be my favorite. And I'm like I Guardians all the way. It's so innovative and fun and scary, but like really tame all at the same time.
No,
And
I
I
appreciate
love
Guardians
it.
for what it is,
Just
but I
never
don't
again.
have
I
to
hear
do
you.
it.
Yeah.
have fun, everybody.
Yeah.
You guys enjoy.
That works out for us because that means one of us gets to ride a second time.
Nice.
There you go.
Switch
Yeah.
magic bands. And I don't know if it would work anymore because my brother and I are both big, but when we were like smaller, like a few years ago, we'd be like, we only have one extra band. Can we both ride? Is that okay? And the cast member would be like, yeah, like whatever. Like, okay. I don't know if that would work anymore now that we're like adults.
Would not work. Would not work now.
That's great. That's great. No, very good. I appreciate all those rides that you discussed, and
Yes.
yeah, they're some of our favorites too. Although I'm with you, Troy. I'm not getting.
Likewise. Yeah.
I've been on Cosmic Rewind. I appreciated it. I don't know if I'll be on it again
Right.
anytime very soon. My body doesn't take it the way I used to. The way it used to. When I used to ride these coasters, when I was a young man, many moons ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine is
Slinky Dog and Big Thunder are
It's like
about
the
the
outer
limits
edge
of
of your
my thrill ride, my body's ability to take thrill rides at this point. So
here you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, we're in sync.
Same.
We're in
Same.
sync. We're in sync. All right, let's go ahead and play this little game here. So, we discussed already, their podcast, Troy and Mimi's podcast, is Disney Assembled. So, for a little fun for today's show, we thought we'd do our own little assembling of a team of superheroes based on Disney characters. So our own Disney assembled, and we thought we would just have a little fun with that. We'd each do some teams of 5 and just pick Disney characters, and you could format it however you want, reason why you want that team to be your team for whatever reason. It's all good. We're just going to have a little fun here. And let's go ahead and get started with that. Mimi, why don't you start us off? We'll just go ahead and go everybody's team. You start with your team. Troy, you can go with your team next.
Okay.
Do you want to have your own team or do you want to combine a team?
I don't know.
You want your
I can
own?
have my own team.
All right, you have
That's
your
fine.
own.
Okay, I think you need to have like muscle, a technology guy, a sidekick, and then you need a getaway car driver. Like you need someone to like bail you out. And you need a lookout. I think that's my take.
Yeah.
I think you need like those things. Okay.
That's good.
For my lookout, wait. Probably, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Peter Pan for my lookout because he's just like kind of stealthy. I don't know. I get a stealthy vibe from Peter Pan. Like when I think about him creeping around Wendy's room. That's my vibe. Like that's my spy.
All right.
Um,
You're going to do all 5 or do you want to do one at a time? What
I
did you want to
think-
do, Tom? All 5 or one at a time?
Go ahead and do all 5. Go ahead and do all 5.
All right.
If you're ready, if you're good with that anyway.
okay, I've got Peter Pan and then Muscle, probably Doctor Strange, because you need the. Are we doing Marvel and Star Wars? Or are we sticking with
whatever you
classic?
want.
There's no
Okay.
rules to this. We're
Yeah.
just having some fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, because there's a lot going on there, obviously with the magic and the whatnot, and the time stone. Getaway car driver, we're gonna go very practical with Lightning McQueen. Now, I'm not really sure if anybody can ride in Lightning McQueen, like if there's like a bot, like if that's his body. I'm not really sure, but we're sticking with that as the answer. What else did I say? Tech guy and a sidekick. Okay. Who would be my sidekick on my team? Oh, I think maybe. Okay, I think maybe Merida for my sidekick because I think she's a good like sidekick character to like help you fight. I don't know, she's like scrappy, and I
Definitely.
think that's
Yeah.
what I would want out of my like if I'm fighting, I would want a scrappy character, I think. And then tech guy, let me think. I like all of my Disney characters are just gone. Who would you put? Now I'm phoning a friend.
Just pick your next best Disney character and just put him on the team.
No, but I need it to be practical.
Oh, you wanted to be a tech guy?
Well, like I need it to make sense.
Okay.
Well, like,
Well,
maybe
what about
like
the
the-
Big Hero 6?
Yeah. What
guy?
about Hero?
Yes. Bring out
Hero?
Hero. I like completely forgot about that
Okay.
movie.
Cool.
Yeah, you're going with Hero.
It's a
That
great
makes
team.
sense.
That's a
Yes.
pretty good team.
Powerful.
Solid.
Yeah. That was really disjointed. I'm very sorry.
That's-
Not a
No,
problem. No, I
no.
love it. I love the process you were going
Yes,
through as
say
you
the
were
same
thinking
thing.
it through.
Yeah.
It was somewhat
Well, it has
similar
to
to
be-
how I built my team, so I get the concept, and yeah, I love the
Okay, yeah.
the thinking of it all. Yeah,
Well, I wouldn't want to put like 5 muscle guys on a team.
Right.
Like, I need someone who like has got the
Right.
brain power to like
Right.
figure out what's going on there.
Right. Yeah, because picking the Incredibles is just cheating. So you can't, right?
Done.
Check.
So,
I actually want Helen Parr and Dash Parr and Violet Parr and
right, right. So is it my turn? My turn?
yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So I think a superhero team needs to have like the core leader. And so and I'm going to try to stick to just sort of classic Disney characters. So I'm going to pick for my core leader, I'm just going to go actually I'm going to go with the Taylor Mickey, the one that with the giant with the tailor,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
That version of Mickey Mouse.
can you use a specific version of Mickey
Sure.
Mouse?
Okay, sure, I am.
Mickey's
Okay.
kind of like Barbie. He's had like every job.
Well, he's got he was smart. He figured he used his brain, so he's like he'll be sort of the leader.
Okay.
He comes up with the plan. I'm also going to need a flyer, someone who can fly. So I'm going to pick Mary Poppins
Hmm.
for my flyer.
Just like put all the whole team goes in
Because
a
I
bag.
because I just think
Like-
because she's got
Okay.
that bag of tricks too. For I think an archer. I think you pick Merida. I'm gonna pick an archer. I'm gonna have Robin Hood as an archer. on the team.
We're not on our show, so I'm not going to sing the Robin Hood song
Good.
like I do every time Robin Hood comes
Robin
up.
Hood, Robin Hood, Robin Hood. I think there needs to be some muscle, right? Some muscle on the team, and so I'll pick Baloo. So I'll do Baloo the bear, right, for some muscle, and it means I got one more, and I think with one more sort of oh goodness, like a spy. I think like a spy character can kind of blend into the crowd, and
I
so
know where you're going with this.
I'll go with Randall
I knew you were going to
from
say that.
Monsters.
That's
So
a
he'll
good
be
one.
like the anti-hero spy,
Right.
Yeah.
the invisible. So I'll go with Randall. Yeah, that'll be my 5.
I
Wow,
like
that's
it.
awesome.
I like it. Those are some
Yeah.
good lists.
Yeah.
Those are some good lists. Michelle, what about you? What do you think?
I similarly kind of went well, I have to say, I think I stuck pretty close to mostly Disney or Pixar kind of peeps. I started with actually Daisy Duck. I mean, she is strong. She's strong-willed. She can be pretty brazen if she needs to. And
If
I
she
think
can. Donald knows all about it. Anyone who can tolerate
Absolutely.
Donald, man, you can tolerate anything.
well, that's why I said, was going to say too, is that, even though she can be, abrasive, she still loves Donald in spite of all his quirks and everything. And she is a consistent friend with Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. So, she's got a lot of good qualities there.
Mhm.
For my muscle, I thought of Luisa Madrigal
Oh, that's
from
a good one.
Encanto. I mean, you can't.
Yeah,
She's pretty strong, but she's also in touch with her sensitive side. And one of her great qualities is how devoted she is to family, whether it's her real family or found family. And I think she would be great then on a team like that. Um, I think also similar with Good Muscle, but maybe a different type of personality is Mei Lee from Turning Red. Yeah, obviously she can draw in the strength when she needs to, but she is also full of fun and is willing to try things and when things aren't going well, dance, right? Also fun, but has some good qualities is Sishu from Raya and the Last Dragon.
Mhm.
I know her real superpower is supposedly that she's a good swimmer, but we saw that she was pretty masterful at getting people to do things for her or with her. She knows how gift giving can be a very positive influence, and she's certainly well respected and loved. She's kind of like the rock star of that time. So I thought she'd be awesome to have on the team. And last but not least, you need some kind of magic for your team to be successful. And why not go to one of the real solid ones? Is the fairy godmother from Cinderella. Um, she can do something with whatever she has. If it's a pumpkin or a mouse, she can come up with some really good things with that. So I think she's super creative in being able to resolve situations. So.
That's really good. I like that you picked women. I love that.
Yeah, I decided
Like,
to make it an all-female team.
I love that.
Very good.
No, that's
Chase
Very
awesome.
good.
girls.
Awesome.
Thank
Man,
you.
these lists, maybe I should just end this because my list is not going to come near any of these lists.
I don't believe
That's
that.
for sure. So for my list, I did something very similar. I kind of positioned it out to what were areas of need. And we needed to start off with a leader to begin with, because that's where you got to go. You got to need somebody to assemble the team and keep them together and do what needs to be done. So I started off with my leader, who is Buzz Lightyear, because I mean, he's a hero. He won't stop until the task is done. Like, he's going to do it. He's extremely loyal. He's just going to be out there and fighting for his guys, and it won't matter. Also, he's bilingual and he's a heck of a dancer as well. So, I mean, you throw that into the equation.
No, that's
and
a great quality to have, being
Yeah.
bilingual.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%. For my second one, I'm going to steal a little somebody from Mimi here. I need somebody who can fly, but also maybe is a little sneaky, can get around, and also is pretty good with a sword. I'm going with Peter Pan for my flyer. Also, he's a bit of a trickster. He's a little stealthy, like you said. That was a good point, Mimi. I could totally see that from him. So I want him on my team for sure. For my muscle, come on, it's got to be Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, old Ham Hands himself
Smart.
is going to be my muscle. Extremely strong and extremely loyal. Like once you're his friend, he is behind you 100%. Maybe sometimes a little too close, but he will be there for you. As far as my archer, well, now I'm going to go with Troy here. Robin Hood, incredible archer, amazing archer. I thought about Merida too. Either one of them would fit this role. But I think Robin Hood always does the right thing, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. He's an excellent backup leader in case you need to split off into other groups because he leads his band of merry men as well. And he's stealthy too. He can do that too. He can do it all. So Robin Hood would have to be in there. And as far as my magic, well, you need somebody that does magic, of course. And as we all know, hashtag real men love Frozen. Elsa's got to be on my team, flinging her ice magic out there. Plus, she can connect with all the other elements and bring them into the fold if need be. She can create life. She created Olaf. She can do it all. Yeah.
I mean, she created Marshmallow too. That's
That's
like
true.
a
Right, yeah.
killing
That's true.
machine.
Yeah.
No, she's the real muscle on that team for sure. Like, dude, I'm scared of her. I would not want to be on her bad side.
Right.
Like,
One bit. Not one bit. And she can sing a little bit too. So that's where I would go with my team for sure. But I think all your teams are great.
That's great. And I listen, it would not be a Hyperion Adventures list if you
Without
hadn't
Elsa.
had Elsa or a Frozen character. And of course, let's all applaud Michelle for the best team that she assembled because we all know she assembles the best team, right? So congratulations.
That's so funny.
It's all
Thank
good.
you.
That was fun.
That
Thank
was
you.
fun.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
Yeah.
really cool.
No, we really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. And it's been really fun. It's really interesting learning about you. Mimi, completely impressed by you. You're amazing. I can't wait to see where your career takes you. I hope you'll come back on the show someday when you're a big time Imagineer or something big, a Disney ambassador or whatever. But we see big things ahead for you and big things ahead for Disney Assembled for sure.
Right.
Well,
Thank you guys so much. Don't be surprised if like 3 weeks from now you see an episode that's like assembling our Disney team.
There you go. Go
Doing this
for it.
review. Like,
When I was thinking about it, I'm like, did they do that episode? It sounds like something they would have done.
no,
It's
like, I don't know why that never occurred to us.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this was so much fun.
Thank you so much.
you
It
guys
was
so
so much fun.
much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. It was our pleasure and our honor. We're so thrilled. Like I said, we've been thinking about this for so long and just really glad that we finally put the pieces together for it.
It was well worth the wait. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
And we'll be around Florida sooner or later. So
Yes.
hopefully
Yeah.
Yes,
Gotta
next
get
time.
together. Yeah.
we can meet up with you guys at some
for
Yeah.
sure.
Maybe we
Sure.
need to do Top of the World Lounge, for the DVC owners.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. So basically,
See, you realize when we finish this recording, I'm going downstairs to have a conversation with Mrs.
Right.
Disney Assembled.
Yes. Put
If
the
you
numbers
need some
together.
advocates, we're here.
It only makes sense.
It only
Right,
makes
right.
sense.
it comes up all the time. Like, I cannot stress this enough. All the time, every day, there is at least one conversation, one text sent to our family group chat. Should we go back to Disney? Should we get the annual pass? Should we be DVC? When are we going to the Polynesian? Like, I will just sometimes text a photo of the lobby, like, think of the smell to like entice them into like buying a trip. Like, I miss the Polynesian. Like, it's so like literally once a day.
Yeah, and the new tower just opened there. And
True. Like, we could DVC there, basically, is what I'm hearing.
And Boardwalk, I know you like Hollywood Studios. Boardwalk is one of the villas.
Kingdom Lodge. All of them.
Beach
Oh,
Club.
see.
Yeah.
Beach Club
You
is
never
also
know.
things
You
you love,
never
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Riviera's on that skyline.
Yeah, well, if you
I'll
need
be-
somebody to back you up in that conversation, we're here for you. We're here
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
you.
I'll be meeting with our financial planner again in January, and so we'll be bringing this new element into the planning.
There you
maybe.
go.
The-
Channel a little bit of Jen Dillow and her Disney math, and it'll all work out.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that's
they're-
how we
in
feel.
reality, they're paying you, right?
Right?
It's like they're
It seems that way.
it's a net gain.
Right,
It's a net
basically.
gain.
I don't like the term girl math because I don't really I have issues with the term girl math, but it is like it's Disney math. Like if you pay for the
Right.
annual pass and you spend the X number of dollars, when you go, it's free because you already paid it off. Like
That's
you already
right.
charged the card. Like
That's
if like
right.
I went shopping today, I went to a thrift store and I paid for $20 of it in cash. So basically it was $20 cheaper, $20 freer. Because
There
my
you go.
money number only went down $20 instead of
Mhm.
$45.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So I don't like girl math. I think that's a bad term because girls can do
Agreed.
math. Girls
Right.
can do math. It's Disney math.
That's right.
Buy it January 1. So when you go in July, it's free.
Well, that's another episode we can do is we can have a screen with all the Disney math on it and with
Right.
strings attached to all the different places where it makes sense.
It's
There
this
it
like
is.
kind of creepy map of like,
Yeah.
how do we get here? Like,
That's
So-
right.
Definitely, 100%. And believe me, we went through all that. When we decided to buy the DVC, we had that map out, figuring it out.
Good stuff.
yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before you get out of here, please tell the listeners how they can find you, how they can listen to your show, how they can follow you on social media, all the things so they can track you down because people are going to want to listen to you for sure.
me?
You want to do it?
Is this me?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so our show is Disney Assembled on basically any podcatcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, anywhere that you can listen to podcasts, and then social media, also any social media under the sun, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, all at Disney Assembled. But you guys can find all that information on the website, disneyassembled.com.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel as well. We try to put stuff out there when we can, but we have content on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see some of our episodes or other things we've done, you can check out our Disney Assembled YouTube channel as well.
And highly recommend it.
Yes.
They have a great show, fun, diverse, interesting topics. They're just a good time. You can hear it in their voices here. And episodes, they're not as long as our episodes. So, I mean, you can fit these in easily on your commute, like you were saying, playing at 1.5 speed. You'll be good. Of course, Mimi's voice goes back to about when she was 14 when you play her at 1.5 speed, but that's what happens,
But just
No,
think about how much faster you'll get through my segments at that point. So there you go.
Thank you guys so much.
Oh no,
Oh, no,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you taking out so much time. You're being so generous with it and finding time in your schedule. Thank you because this has been a blast and it hopefully will not be the last time for sure that we have you on the show. And definitely in person soon.
Yeah.
Soon for sure.
Definitely.
And
Well, we look forward to it.
Definitely. And again, I want to reiterate, Mimi, how impressive you are. Troy, what a great dad to take the time and energy to do this. And it shows, I know we joked about the parental issues, but no, it shows how caring and loving you are and how you have produced such a beautiful, wonderful, and insightful daughter.
Well, thank you. It's a team effort. Mrs. Disney Assembled had a lot to do with that.
Oh,
as
for
well.
sure.
But no, we really appreciate that. Thank you for your kind words. And not sure when this show is going to go to air, but happy holidays and season's greetings to you and your families and to all your listeners. So thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Troy, Mimi, Disney Assembled. Thanks again. Really, it's been a fun time.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.